ISIS is the target, and they put that target wherever they want, and then destroy everything around the target. So the question is, this is from Linda Hurd, a British expert on the Middle East. She says, is the United States waging Israel's wars? She said, there is one thing that we do know. Oded Yinon's 1982 Zionist plan for the Middle East is in large part taking shape. Is this coincidence? Was Yinon a psychic? Maybe. She says, alternatively, we in the West are victims of a long-held agenda, not of our making, and without a doubt, not in our interest. So we're waging war for another entity, for another nation, for another interest that's not ours. And we're paying for it. Our sons and daughters are fighting it. And this is the partition of Palestine when it happened in 1947. Menachem Begin rejected it. He said, Jerusalem was and will forever be our capital. And Eretz Israel will be restored to the people of Israel. All of it and forever. This is to give you an idea what Eretz Israel means. It means the land of Israel. And according to people like Menachem Begin, it extends from the Nile River to the Euphrates. And this area right here is the Kurdish area, which happens to be occupied by the United States. This is all Syria right here. This is where the United States is occupying 1/3 of Syria. These are the various ethnic communities, religions, factions in Iraq and Syria. And from the Yinon plan, Yinon said the dissolution of Syria and Iraq is Israel's primary target on the Eastern Front. The dissolution of the military power of these states serves as the primary short-term target. This is exactly what we did when we went to Iraq in first in 1991 and then again in 2003. We destroyed the Iraqi military. If you remember, one of the first things that happened is when we got into Iraq, we disbanded the entire military, sent everybody home. No more jobs, no entitlements, nothing. So the military went away. And in Syria, we've been trying to do the same thing for the last 7 years. Now, this is another break in the here. This area here, Periwinkle, is the area of the Kurds, and this area is where most of the oil is. And the United States and Israel are supporting the Kurdish independence. This area here in northern Iraq, and this is part of northern Syria. And in pursuing that, the largest holder of the reserves in this Kurdistan area of Iraq is a company called Janel Energy, which is a Rothschild company. So they're going after the strategic assets. And these two cities, Mosul and Raqqa, were targets of the American anti-terrorist attacks last summer, which destroyed those cities, destroyed them. Here's Mosul in June of 2017, the great mosque of Al-Nuri, destroyed in the Battle of Mosul. The Americans we put our artillery around the cities and just pounded them for months. And that has a price. Here's Syria, the other city in Raqqa, in Syria, October 2017. At least half the city is totally destroyed. Now here you have to understand that these are on the edge of the Kurdish area, but these cities are, Mosul is the second biggest city in Iraq. They contained a lot, they were inhabited by a lot of Sunni Muslims. And that's why they were pounded. So we said we were fighting ISIS, but under the pretext of fighting ISIS, we destroyed the cities. And pushed a lot of people into become refugees. The northern part of both Iraq and Syria are peopled by the Kurds, and this was the leader of the Kurdish movement in Iraq. He resigned shortly after his failed attempt to separate the country. But I'm showing you the relationship with Israel. Here's his father, Mustafa, meeting with the Mossad chief in 1966. Here's his father in Israel meeting with Moshe Dayan. And this is the Israeli flag flying along with the Kurdish flag in a protest or a rally in Erbil.
But just think of it. We spent, as of 3 months ago, $7 trillion, not billion, not million, 7 trillion with a T. Nobody ever heard of the word trillion until 10 years ago. We spent $7 trillion in the Middle East.
Eventually, our borders will extend from Lebanon, the Great Desert, which is Saudi Arabia, and then from the Mediterranean to the Euphrates. And who's on the other side of the Euphrates? The Kurds. And the Kurds are our friends. So we have the Mediterranean behind us, the Kurds in front of us, Lebanon, which really needs the umbrella of protection of Israel. And then we're going to take, I believe we're going to take Mecca, Medina, and Mount Sinai and purify those places.